Stand on this mountain plateau in 1532, and you would see the largest empire the Americas had ever known, stretching farther than Rome at its peak. This was Tawantinsuyu, the Inca realm of 4 regions, ruled by a living god whose word could move 100,000 soldiers in a single day. Its roads climbed glaciers, its granaries fed millions, and its capital gleamed with gold so pure that it was called the House of the Sun. But within a single year, this civilization would collapse, betrayed not by numbers, but by disease, division, and one catastrophic afternoon. By the early 1500s, the Inca Empire spanned modern Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina, home to millions ruled by a single emperor. Cusco, the sacred capital, sat cradled in the Andes, its temples lined in gold sheeting that caught the sunrise and blinded travelers arriving. Stone roads called the Qhapaq Nan stretched over 25,000 miles, crossing deserts and mountains without a wheel or draft animal. Runners, called Chasquis, relayed messages across these roads in relay stations, carrying news faster than any horse could travel across Europe. The emperor, called the Sapa Inca, was believed to be a direct descendant of the sun god Inti, his authority absolute across every province. Farmers terraced entire mountainsides, storing surplus grain in vast state warehouses so that famine rarely touched this well-governed land. Yet beneath this golden surface, a silent killer had already arrived, traveling faster than any conquistador ever could across the ocean itself. Smallpox, carried unknowingly from earlier Spanish contact in Panama and the Caribbean, swept south through trade routes before invaders came. The reigning emperor Huayna Capac died suddenly from this unseen plague, along with his chosen heir, leaving the empire without a clear successor. 2 of his sons, Huascar and Atahualpa, plunged the empire into a brutal civil war, each claiming the throne as rightfully theirs alone to hold. For nearly 5 years, Inca fought Inca. Armies clashed in mountain passes, and the empire that once seemed invincible bled from within itself. Atahualpa finally triumphed, capturing his brother, but the war had exhausted soldiers, emptied treasuries, and shattered the empire's unity. It was into this wounded, weakened empire that a small band of foreigners stepped ashore, led by a former pig farmer named Francisco Pizarro. Pizarro commanded fewer than 200 men, some horses, a handful of cannons, and steel swords against an empire of millions of warriors. He had heard rumors of a golden kingdom from earlier expeditions, and he pursued this dream with a ruthlessness that would soon prove devastating. The Spanish marched inland through unfamiliar terrain, watched constantly by Inca scouts who reported every movement back to their emperor. Atahualpa, fresh from his victory in the Civil War, felt no urgent fear, believing these strange bearded men posed little threat to his throne. He invited them to meet him at the town of Cajamarca, curious about these outsiders and confident in the overwhelming size of his own army nearby. Cajamarca sat in a valley ringed by mountains, and Atahualpa arrived with an escort of thousands, unarmed, carried on a golden litter in state. He expected a diplomatic exchange, a display of curiosity between rulers, never suspecting the empty plaza around him had already become a trap. Pizarro had hidden his soldiers, cavalry and cannon inside the surrounding buildings, waiting in tense silence for a single prearranged signal. If Friar approached Atahualpa, offering a Bible and demanding conversion to Christianity, words the emperor could not grasp through translation. When Atahualpa examined the strange book and dismissed it, tossing it aside, the Spanish declared this an insult worthy of immediate violence. Pizarro gave the signal, and cannon fire tore into the plaza, followed by charging cavalry, crashing into a crowd that carried no weapons at all. Panic swallowed the square as thousands of unarmed attendants were cut down within minutes, trampled and unable to grasp what was happening. In less than an hour, the emperor of the largest empire in the Americas was captured, and his empire's fate changed forever in that single hour. The Battle of Cajamarca, if it can even be called a battle, left thousands of Inca dead, while not a single Spaniard lost his life that day. Steel armor, gunpowder and cavalry had proven devastating against an army caught completely unprepared for weapons it had never seen before. Atahualpa, now a prisoner in his own kingdom, watched his empire fracture as news of his capture spread through every province in quiet dread. He quickly understood what his captors valued most, and he offered something no emperor before him had ever imagined giving to a foreign stranger. He promised to fill a room with gold once, and twice more with silver, if Pizarro would release him and let the empire continue under his rule. For months, llama trains carried treasure from across the empire, melting down centuries of sacred artistry into ransom for a captured god-king. The room, filled as promised, produced more gold than Europe had ever seen, shipped from one location, dazzling even the most jaded conquistador. Yet Pizarro never intended to honor his promise fully, fearing that a freed Atahualpa would rally his armies and destroy the small Spanish force. On fabricated charges of plotting rebellion, a rushed trial condemned the emperor to death, despite the ransom already paid to his captors. Atahualpa was executed by strangulation in the summer of 1533, choosing baptism at the final hour to avoid being burned alive instead of that. His death sent shockwaves through the empire, extinguishing the sacred belief that the Sapa Inca was untouchable, divine, and beyond mortal harm. Without their emperor, resistance fractured into scattered uprisings, as Spanish forces pushed deeper into the heartland of the crumbling empire. Cusco fell soon after, its golden temples stripped bare, its palaces looted, its sacred sun disk melted into coins for a distant foreign crown. Puppet emperors were installed and discarded as Spanish colonizers reorganized the empire's wealth, land, and people under an entirely new order. Some Inca nobles fled into the mountain stronghold of Vilcabamba, continuing a shadow resistance that flickered on for nearly 40 more years. Disease continued its silent devastation long after the fighting ended, killing far more Inca subjects than any sword or cannon ever managed to. Within a single generation, an empire that had taken centuries to build had been reduced to a colony, its language and gods pushed towards silence. And yet, despite conquest, disease, and the death of an empire's living god, the Inca people never fully vanished from these sacred mountains. Their language still echoes through Andean villages. Their terraces still hold soil in place. Their stonework still stands after 5 centuries. History never truly disappears. It only waits, buried beneath new empires, until someone climbs the mountain and asks what happened here once. If this journey through the fall of an empire moved you, consider subscribing for more cinematic dives into history's most pivotal turning points. Tell us in the comments which lost empire or ancient city you want reconstructed next, and we may bring your suggestion to life in a future film.